In this video, I talk about 6 rules that beginners to Shadespire often get wrong. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So if this is your first time here, thanks very much for watching. Why not subscribe so you don't miss any more uploads from me, and especially to see more Shadespire content. So I thought I'd carry on my introduction to Shadespire for beginners and talk about 6 rules that I see quite often discussed in Facebook groups and that I've certainly got wrong myself when first starting to play. Glory points. When you spend glory points to purchase upgrades, you still count the glory points as scoring at the end of the game. You just flip over the tokens so they can't be spent again to buy more upgrades. Taking damage from attacks. When attacking in combat, you roll the number of dice that it states on your character card or your upgrade card. You score successes by hitting the relevant symbols for your character. Your opponent then defends by rolling the number of dice on their defense stat. You then compare the number of successes. If the attacker has less successes than the defender, then the attack fails. If the attacker has the same number of successes as the defender, it's a tie. No damage is dealt, however, you can push the defender back 1 hex. If the defender cannot be pushed back because all of the hexes they could be pushed back into are either blocked or occupied, then the defender is classed as trapped and takes damage as if the attack was a success. If the attacker has more successes than the defender, then the defender takes damage and then can be pushed back 1 hex. You don't have to. If the defender can't be pushed back because they're trapped, then nothing further happens. Critical successes always count as a success. If the attacker rolls more critical successes than the defender, the attacker wins and the defender takes damage. If the defender rolls more critical successes than the attacker, then they automatically defend the attack. If both players roll the same number of critical successes, then the deciding factor is the number of regular successes. When taking damage, you only take the damage shown on the weapon stat, regardless of the number of successes, not this amount of damage for every success you roll. Support in combat. When in combat, the attacking fighter gains support from each friendly fighter that is in an adjacent hex to the defending fighter. The defending fighter gains support from each friendly fighter that is in an adjacent hex to the attacking fighter. A fighter needs to have more supporting fighters than its opponent to benefit from the support rule. Fighters that are in adjacent hexes to supporting fighters do not count unless they are also in the adjacent hex to the original attacker or defender. Setting up the game. Players roll off to see who will set their board up first. The losing player chooses which board they would like to use from their collection and places it on the table. The player that won the roll-off then chooses which board they would like to use from their collection and puts the 2 boards together as they wish, ensuring that it meets the rules about connecting hexes. There is a distinct advantage in being able to set up the battlefield. Whichever player placed the first board then places the first objective token. This means in a 2-player game, the player who lost the roll-off will place 3 objectives, and the person who won the roll-off and set up the battlefield places 2. This helps offset some of the advantage of setting up the battlefield. When deploying the fighters, the players roll off again, and the winner has the option to deploy one of their models first, or asks their opponent to deploy one of their models first. Players then alternate deploying until all models are placed. Players then again roll off, with the winner having the choice of who can activate a model first. The difference in the first action phase is that the player who finished deploying their models first adds 1 critical success to their roll-off. Ploy cards. Ploy cards can only be played either as a reaction during either player's activation or in the power step between activations. They cannot be played during the end phase. The game sequence. The game is made up of 3 rounds. Each round consists of an action phase and an end phase. Each action phase is made up of 4 alternating activations per player with a power step at the end of each activation. When an objective card mentions the preceding action phase, this refers to the whole action phase and not just one activation. So there you have it folks, 6 rules that quite often seem to come up where there's a little bit of confusion, and this is just to try and clarify this, especially for new players. If there's any rules that you think are a little bit confusing, why not drop a comment down below and maybe I'll do an update video with another 6 rules that you find that you sometimes get wrong. Remember, why not subscribe to see more content from me, and I'll see you in the next video.